Hey guys, welcome to Open Mic with Allie and Michelle on this Thursday edition of Open Mic. We are so glad that you joined us. I wonder where you're joining us from. If you are watching us on Rumble,
Sorry,
she's like,
I got gangster rap music in my head right now.
might be
Somebody
a-
on X mentioned like talking about Nas, and I was like, he is a goat for sure.
whether you're watching us on Rumble, X, Facebook, just chime in the chat. Let us know where you're watching us from geographically. And thank you to our listeners on Spotify. We love you.
We just love you so much. Thank you.
We do. Thanks to Patriot TV and our wonderful team here, guys. There's so much to discuss today. I love
Gosh, it's like drinking from a fire hose every day. This administration, it's insane.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But what has me most excited is our guest that's going to be coming in. It's none other than Doc Pete Chambers. He is a patriot and a firebrand from the state of Texas.
Talk about tip of the spear. This man,
what hasn't he done?
Exactly.
And he's still fighting. And that is the legacy that these Trump, Kennedy, even somebody like Kash Patel, who's been in this field for his whole life, and then he's like still working. You look at someone like General Flynn, Craig Sawyer. These are people that are literally the tip of the spear, but they're not retiring. They're not going off into the sunset, so to speak. So we want to make sure you keep it tuned here to Open Mic when he comes on later. We're going to be talking about some current events. Melania Trump's not taking any crap.
Nope. I love a strong woman.
Love a strong
who knows
woman.
her values and will stand on principle. I love it.
That's right, guys. Make sure that you go warm up your coffee. Keep it locked here for the next hour. We've got a lot of fun things we're going to cover, and we're going to go ahead and open that mic.
Where we started, we're wearing our red hat tonight. It takes more than just a feeling. Oh, better be believing, and America's gonna be home.
What do you do when they try to cancel you? MAGA Nation, we cancel proof. My red hat stays on. My red hat stays on. You know I love God, but in Trump I trust. November 5th, you gon' ride with us. Our red hat stays on. Our red hat stays on. It's the mayor MAGA, but the RNC King. 2024, freedom gon' ring. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. I'm still fighting for each one of you. And keep your red hat on.
What do you do when they come for you? Freedom's what you gotta lose.
That moment in church when your phone goes off and you're like, I swear, Pastor.
And then you're called out by the pastor.
I tried to silence it. I really did.
That's right.
Welcome to Open Mic with, I'm Michelle Posey.
Allie Leger here. How are you guys doing this fabulous Thankful Thursday?
Thankful Thursday. I like that. We should be thankful every day, but Thursday we're going to give a special thanks. I am thankful for a strong First Lady. Of course, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to have Doc Pete Chambers joining us here in just a few, but we want to get covered a few, if I have the words today, a few current events. Take a look at this. Apparently, Hunter Biden in the interview that nobody watched was alluding to the fact that
Good.
Okay, he was alluding to the fact that Epstein introduced Melania and Trump and threw Melania's name around. And there's a funny thing that you can't do in this business, and that's lie. And when you're hocked up on cocaine, I guess you don't realize that. It was a very interesting video. I had to watch a little bit of it. But Melania is now threatening a lawsuit. Take a look at this visual here.
Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. The connections are like so wide and deep. Anyway, why do we think they don't want the files released? I don't know. I think John, that thing that John Howland says.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
With his voice.
Wait a minute. How do you, first of all, number one question, how do you know that Epstein introduced Melania to Trump? And second, you guys, Democrats, have had access to these files well before President Trump was in office. Why haven't you guys released them? That's number two. And number three, yes, this was the most unlistened to interview because I even had to go, what? And I had to go research it because I was like, what are they talking about? What happened? Really? Epstein said this? And I had to go and look and find it. And then I was
coming from the family that didn't want to admit, obviously, that Hunter Biden dropped off his laptop for repairs and never went back to get it. And we now have the Hunter laptop story. And coming from the family where their poor sister, what she wrote in her diary about her own dad. Listen, we will just not throw stones at glass houses if we're Hunter Biden. But anyway, good on Melania for threatening a lawsuit. I think we'll see some kind of retraction come out.
It's $1 billion she's going after, right?
She wants a new wardrobe.
She wants all of it.
That's amazing.
I mean, the FBI, his FBI and DOJ did go through not Hunter's, but his dad's
Well, it could have been.
went
to
through
the-
her own wardrobe. So yes, I want new hands off my wardrobe.
Yeah, absolutely. Going from that fun story to what's coming out of the West Coast, apparently more corruption. This won't shock anybody watching our show. More corruption
Definitely
coming out of LA. Los Angeles City Councilman has just been charged, Allie, with corruption after embezzling $800,000. Of course, they have the do nothing mayor there that couldn't even put water in the fire hydrants through the busiest fire season in LA. So basically, we're hoping to make California great again eventually. I hope they put forth voter ID.
They are. Scott Pressler has made it a point that he is going to work tirelessly to put voter ID on the ballot, and not just California, but in all of the Western states.
I love that. Well, we saw what he did with swing states during the 2024 election, really getting the base energized.
Because of him, New Jersey is in play.
Ooh,
And
yes.
because of Scott Pressler and the people that work with Early Vote Action in TPUSA, New Jersey is in play.
New Jersey's in play.
I think California will be in play too, especially when they get this whole redistricting thing, together, because Gavin Newsom does not have a leg to stand on. So
Definitely not a moral leg to stand on. I want, we can continue to go with our current events, but I want to take a break and bring in our guest, Allie, because I know he's traveling. I know he's busy. He's in the height of campaign season. But we are just blessed to be able to welcome, to be able to welcome, I'm going to read off some of his accomplishments. So he's a retired Lieutenant Colonel Doc Pete Chambers. Guys, he was active duty and obviously the National Guard. He was a Purple Heart recipient. He was a special operation flight surgeon. So literally has been the tip of the spear in many different avenues. He practiced emergency medicine and relief operations, task force surgeon for Operation Lone Star. They say everything's done bigger and better down there in Texas. He is also the U.S. Senate whistleblower in that case, SEALs versus the Department of Defense.
Wow.
And he's also the founder of Remnant Ministry, because a man that leads that strong has got to be gifted with the presence of God in his life. We're so grateful. Open mic, please welcome our guest, Doc Pete Chambers. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Allie. Hey, Michelle. Hey, listen, it's amazing. I just found my new show that I'm going to use to catch up on what's going on in the rest of the country, because this is amazing. And I just heard that much. So I'm a fan already.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
That's wonderful. Well, it's funny because we're thankful to organizations and companies like Patriot TV that give us an unfiltered platform. But we are grateful when people like you lead the way.
Yes.
It's somebody that you're somebody that I look to see, no matter what it's costing you, and it has cost you, every time you've served, it's cost you. We still have to continue to do what God calls us to do. We're not promised certain outcomes. We're promised that if we follow, we'll be in His will. So I'm grateful for what you're doing. I want to know first off, okay, do I call you Doc Chambers?
Doc is fine. I mean, that's a term of endearment. Usually, the medics get that, but because I spent so much time in the field as a plumber, I call it on the battlefield. I stopped bleeding in bad places on good people. I took care of, and some innocent people, and that get caught up in the mix of war. But yeah, Doc is that'll work.
Perfect.
I like it.
So tell us a little bit. I don't know if you know, but Allie here is an Army veteran.
Oh, sweet. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. And as a veteran, I look up to people like you who are still the tip of the spear in your circle of influence and still leading the way, because we all know our oath does not expire. It doesn't have an expiration date. Even when we leave service, that servant heart in us still goes forward. And I love everything that you're doing. So I commend you. Thank you so much.
So for our viewers,
thank you.
I want to catch them up. 39-year career, obviously, in the Army.
Which is unheard of, by the way.
You go to medical school, and then post 9/11, you're drawn back in. Can you lead our viewers a little bit into
Sure. Yeah, I'll explain that, because that's not all active duty. Understand that's between active guard and reserves, but I got over 20 years and retired. I left active duty in 2015 and went to the Texas National Guard, but I came in under Ronald Reagan. I was 18 years old when I hit Fort Benning, and I was a grunt, right? So, that's 11 Bravo for any military people out there. And I learned how to dig holes and carry a ruck and shoot a rifle. And then I did my time, got out in 1990 as far as an honorable discharge, but I stayed in the reserves throughout all of it. And then I went to, my dad was a family doctor, small town. I used to ride around when I was a kid, in this seat right here, not this truck, but carrying his black bag and go do house calls on weekends. So that's where I got the love for medicine. And I never thought I would do it, but I I gave it a shot, and here you go from infantry to medical school, and then 9/11 happened, and there was no doubt what I was going to do. I always had it in my heart to be a Green Beret. At the time, I couldn't do it back in the 80s. I had a bad broken leg, pins and screws and plates. So they said, "You're never going to jump again." I was like, "No, I don't think so." So I had all that hardware removed and got back on airborne status, and then completed the course at a much older age than the average guy that goes there. But in order to be the best doc that I could be for the top tip of the spear operators, that ingratiated me to them. I was the first doctor to do it that way, to go in from selection and all that. There were other doctors that were 18 Deltas before, special operations medics, but I was the first one to go from doctor to Green Beret. So that then there were subsequent ones that went through, and that put me in a very unique niche category as far as special operations missions. Very few of us out there, so it put us closer to the X. I never worked in a hospital, never worked in a clinic after residency. And so, ER shifts here and there in the civilian world to make a little extra money. But other than that, really never did that. Servanthood, you talked about, Ali, that is something that what I've learned as an enlisted soldier and as an officer is servanthood is just loving people more than you love the position you're in. Right. That truly is what it is. So when I was given higher levels of authority, I learned to use that principle because I followed some really great mentors, Vietnam vets, when I came in, that truly loved us, right, and wanted to teach us everything. Although it was hard teaching, right? It's never that easy, when you're young, especially. But even through the Q course, qualification for Green Berets, it is a year and a half for me, a year and a half of some of the hardest training I've ever been through at an older age. But because I was a little more mentally, we'll just say mature. Yeah, strong. Well, and everybody there,
mature, a little more mentally strong.
Strong. You got to be strong. Yeah. One of the things I used to tell troops downrange, if they came in and they were whining and complaining and belly aching, I'd say, and if I knew it wasn't that bad, I'd just say, "All right, well, here's your diagnosis, soldier." And they're like, "What's that, sir?" And I go, "Weakness." What? Weakness. That part. This country is suffering from weakness. It's constitution.
1000%.
Right? We've gone through easy times that breeds weak people.
Weak men.
And now we were going back to hard times until Trump came in. He put a tourniquet on the problem set, but we still got 1,000 tiny cuts. And that's what I'm doing locally. Say locally, Texas is a big state, but taking on that Leviathan, let me tell you, did not want to do that. I was approached by a bunch of folks up in North Texas. We were at Bonham, Texas at a Christian gathering. It was on what was it? Pentecost, day of Pentecost.
Yeah.
And it was an ambush. They ambushed me because they waited till the campfire, and they said that night, and they said, "Hey, Doc, we've been considering you kind of the spiritual governor for Texas." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's real nice. Thank you for saying that." And I said, and then they said, "Would you run for governor?" I'm not a politician. Exactly. That's what they said. Exactly. You're not. And so we are looking at $100 million war chest that the opponent has. The governor, the current sitting governor, he's tied for the longest running governor of Texas. There is no statute of limitations. There's a lot of people that say, well, status quo, we like it, it's comfortable, but you have to consider what's going on in the country. What fixed America was a man that came in and said, if I say it, I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's Trump. So, so I'm using the Trump card, if you will, in Texas, because it's grassroots, straight up grassroots. And
well,
people are coming out.
Yeah. Yes. And I want our viewers to know also, Doc, that, you were tapped on the shoulder by Governor Abbott himself. So you've got a lot of inside, I guess, knowings of how things work. Tell our viewers about that, because you spent a lot of time at the border. You have a very unique story about what you saw down there. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. That's great. Great question. Thank you. With regard to that, when I went to the National Guard of Texas, I was in a special operations unit there as well. And I served actually as an 18 Alpha, which is a commander of special operations guys. And so I took that job. And then, of course, I got rank again. They made me a lieutenant colonel. I didn't want it. I like staying with the troops. And I took the rank, and they said, "We don't have a slot. You got to go back to being a doc again." We went and did a mission, a spec ops mission in Africa, in the sub-Saharan Africa, a training mission for people that are fighting Al Qaeda in the Maghreb. And I came back from that, and there was this thing called COVID. And I'm like, what's going on back home? Because you don't watch news when you're in the desert. So I get back, and they say, hey, we're gonna before you go back to your unit, you're gonna be in the governor's task force for COVID. And so they put me on that job, and it was the most miserable job in the world because I was inside a basement, essentially an operations center with a bunch of TVs and procuring PPE and all these things, personal protective equipment, and the expenditures of in the millions of dollars in the weeks, that ensued. But then looking at this thing that I knew as coronavirus, which is the common cold, right?
Right.
But if you gain a function it, then it becomes a bioweapon. That's just the facts. I mean, does it mean there was a nefarious intent? I don't know. I'm not governor yet. But if the actors that came into play in Texas, if I've got the three elements of a crime, which is you have to have somebody that was injured, you have to have somebody that perpetrated the crime, and then you have to have intent. So you have to bring them into court to talk about it. They're innocent until proven guilty. But if they come in and there was a nefarious intent, then I'll be the first person to put them in jail. Because that is one of the things that I run on is medical freedom. Not, that's not a scary thing, right? That is something that we cannot be mandated. You can't be mandated medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, while you were at the border, I know we can talk in a little while about some of what you've seen with cartels and human smuggling and trafficking. But I do want to, one of the things I've heard you speak on in the past that I did not know this, you probably do as being former service, Allie, they inject our young men and women and people that serve with a lot of things. But when you get emergency youth authorization, one of the things I want you to explain to our viewers, because I kind of understand it, is that when something's emergency youth authorization in the military, aren't you required to then also give people consent? And that is something that you were doing.
Absolutely.
You ruffled some feathers doing that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. During that first phase of now, when I left that COVID job, I went to the border, which is exactly where I needed to be. And we were doing counter human trafficking operations. We were doing, I was liaising with regard to any law enforcement or special operations groups that were in the area. That was my job because I wore kind of two hats. But as the task force surgeon, my job was to take care of my troops. Well, when the mandates came, I had to look at the regulations. The regulations clearly stated, our AR 40-562, that if it's an emergency use or experimental shot, must do informed consent. Well, I just kept sending the shot teams back saying these aren't approved, and they kept getting mad at me. And after the third one, they sent this 2-star general down, and we got along earlier. I won't say his name, but he said, Doc, love you, but and this is I'll just do a little play acting here. He said, all right, listen here, you need to get with the program. So what's that, sir? He goes, you need to quit doing any form of consent. It's ridiculous. You need to get. It's not about the science, Doc. About policy. Now get with the program. And I said, sir, that's an unlawful order. I can't take that. And so he said, your career's on the line. I said, sir, I've been in 39 years. I've been wounded in combat, taking care of troops. I'm sorry. I put my life on the line. I'll put my career on the line. He fired me. They brought a new guy down. That guy, I got out of the military because I was, had plenty of years, and I knew they were going to put me in a desk job. And so, I've been griped at before. That game of rock, paper, rank, I lost.
Rock, paper, rig. I love that.
She's going to steal that. She's
right?
going to steal that. It's gone.
I knew, and you can use it all day long. Use it all day long. So he's a 2-star. I'm a lieutenant colonel. Yeah, he won then. But when I testified in Seals versus Lloyd Austin, and I showed, and I put exhibit number 1, exhibit 1, the DOD is not coercing you not to do informed consents. Well, say, here's the letter from the general. Oops.
Wow.
What did that do? That ended up coming back through the chain of legal world, through the Department of Defense, through the Pentagon, back to Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott then told that guy, you can either conveniently retire or you're going to have to be fired. So he retired, that 2-star. And so did he win? I don't know. I think truth won. And so that's really what happened. And that's how I got out. So what did I do the very first week I got out? I went on Alex Jones.
Of course you did.
I did. I was like, go big or go home. So he's from Central Texas. And so I just went down to his studio and talked to him. And you want to hear a good story? He said, yeah. And then I didn't have one thing on the internet. I mean, other than maybe my residency program picture, because Green Berets, we don't work in that world.
Right.
And so I was like, go big or go home. Right. Exactly. And so that's where I started getting on media and started talking, and went to LA to defeat the mandates and all these things. testified in 2 different, cases. One actually on the stand, Seals versus Lloyd Austin or DOD, and then Roberts v. Austin. But yeah, that's what we do, right? We stand in the gap for those that can.
Absolutely.
I love that. Purple Heart recipient and still literally leading with nothing but heart. And that's what we need, like, across the nation. If somebody like myself, Doc, that didn't serve, have people in my life that have served, but so that's one of the reasons we both ran for office. If there's something that our viewers can do, there's something that they can do, whether it's supporting a candidate like you in Texas, making phone calls, making, emails, spreading door knocking. That's, I mean, you need a whole literal army to do that. We're going to get to your governorship, your governor race coming up, but I want you to tell us a little bit about this project that you started. I love the name, Remnant Ministry.
Yes.
Because we're going to put that up on the screen here so people can see that. But what is Remnant Ministry? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so it's the Remnant Ministry TX for Texas, obviously, because there's another Remnant Ministry we found out there. I started by myself when I left that job. Sometimes in life you go through a wilderness, and that wilderness was 39 years of giving my life to something and then getting kicked out, essentially. That's hard. That's hard on you. So I took my horse and you feel like you were, but I'm not a pity party guy, so it didn't take me long to figure out how to look for work. So I went to the ranches that I knew on the border that I was working with, civilian owned ranches. And I just started saying, look, I'll do security for you. I'll take my horse and my dog and I'll just ride the fence line and I'll tell you how to avoid getting in a gunfight with cartel people, because you're not going to win it. And that is a situation down there. So when I started doing that and riding out there, essentially Lone Ranger on the border, I found a place. I was like, wait a minute, I can take this and I can get a bunch of people like me and we can go out here and we can help Texas just on our own. So we formed a 508c1a, which is an association of ministries, but also counter human trafficking, because I knew the insides and outs of that. And then also humanitarian relief, which then put us in North Carolina during floods, recent floods in Guadalupe, Texas, with the river, with 120 miles of river that was flooded and loss of life, et cetera. So that put us to work. And then that's really, I don't know, maybe the tapestry of God thing, where you just end up right place, right time. And somebody says, hey, you know what? Would you consider running for Texas governor? Oh, yeah, sure. No.
Yeah.
But I prayed. No. But I prayed about it. And I said I would pray and I would look into it. So we did. And here we are.
Well, and that's the thing. Would you rather have somebody that's sitting behind a desk professionally, or somebody who's out doing the job that he's going to require the people under him to do eventually? You are an executive in everything that you're doing. So I want to know, okay, take us now to that point where you've said, okay,
I'm in.
I will, send me, I'll do it. What has it been like? Tell us a little bit about your stance and how you're different from Abbott, because listen, Allie and I both ran in primaries where we were primarying another person in our party. And you would think that's a healthy way for the Republic to operate, but it's not always welcomed, right?
Nope.
Not welcomed, and that's okay. That's an incumbent, and it's a ingrained incumbent. And a lot of people say to me, the sentiment analysis just face to face, Abbott's okay, and I'm like, well, wouldn't you want better, right? Now, not being cocky, what I'm saying is, I've always taught my troops, and I've tried to live as exude confidence and demonstrate competence, right? That's not cocky. You can be that way, but you got to check yourself. Otherwise, you're not a true servant leader. But when you're going up against something like that, it is literally the first words out of the very first person I talked to was, "You're crazy." And I said, "Yeah, but I got to be just crazy enough." Right? My career field as a special operator was not in the world of completely sane when it came to being safe. Right? I mean, you can't be safe. You have to be bold.
And as a leader, you can't play it safe either. You can't placate as a leader. You have to lead with boldness.
Right. And at the tactical level, what was required of me as a captain in combat was sometimes I have to draw fire so the troops can maneuver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
no
the way
second guessing. The moment you hesitate, lives are lost.
People lose lives over that stuff. So now let's amplify that up to the political level. So do you want a governor that's in the field like during that flooding where I've got 17,000 civilians that we're touching by being kind of the administrative command and control over the civilian response to that? That's what I did. We put out sit reps. I brought in SEALs. I brought in MARSOC divers. They were in the water. They were working. And so then we coordinate with the State Emergency Operations Center right there at Kerrville. And then that's just how that works, right? That's just simple, basic leadership. Green Berets do that all the time in the middle of nowhere where everybody wants to kill them and, and then create armies. So this is not a hard task.
Right.
What is the hard task is beating through the system that's there to protect the status quo, right?
Right.
I'm not going to throw mud. I don't have to throw mud one time in this campaign. All I have to do is what the Lord told me in a dream and woke up and wrote was just tell them how you got here. That's your testimony, and
Mm.
I'll do the rest. So that's what I've been doing.
Wow.
So when I go
And there's
speak, I just give testimony.
I love it.
and there's many ways that a win can be described, you know,
Right.
and I know people, you
That's
know, a lot of people look at the finish line. You said you don't run a race to lose.
Right.
So
Right.
you run the race to run. But you've mentioned in other interviews I've listened to that there's a huge issue, probably not just in the state of Texas. I'm thinking it's probably nationwide, where our veterans don't really vote. And if they would turn out and vote, you know, and actually continue to stand for the thing they fought for in their military career, that could change the game greatly in your favor in Texas, right?
So he firmly believe that, and Texas has no income tax. The state doesn't have an income tax, so a lot of people come to Texas military, and that's a huge presence. And on active duty, they will become citizens of Texas, or essentially obtain a driver's license,
Yep.
so they don't have to pay property, or I'm not property tax. That's that's through the roof. No, but income tax. And so not only do we appeal to them, whether they're left or right, it doesn't really matter to me. If they're common sense, those are the people that when I go speak to get it. Right, the common sense folks. Look, we've fought wars. I've personally been everywhere in the world to protect this Constitution. These people, I don't care whether they're left or right or black or white or anything. I just care that this is my job. I will stand my post until properly relieved. Same thing with this job. It's a senior public servant in the state of Texas. It's not the governor. He's the governor. Let me have my tea. Excuse me. Take my gear to the front, soldier. No. That's not how this works. Right? How this works is you lead from the front. And so that's how we'll do it. And so you're exactly right, Michelle. The win, are we a forcing function? We're a forcing function now. We're seeing them, you know, now in special session doing things that we're talking about on our website, which is great because that helps the people of Texas. But you know, what is it? What's the final outcome? I don't know. His will, God's will, and His word. I can't know anything more than that. But I do know this is that until the 3rd of March, 2026, I'll be out talking to people.
That's amazing. So my question for you is, what are the top 3 things you would like to change or see differently in the state of Texas?
Right. Number one for me is security. If you don't have a secure baseline, if I said this the other night to a group of, it was actually a women's group of their county level GOP people. I don't know their specific positions. Some committee chairs and things like that. I told him, I said, you know, most people don't pay attention to security issues, right? They just don't look at it. You know, border security, what's come across the border already. Most of them don't really pay attention because they just want to lie. They just want to live, right? But can you imagine that every day that a soldier or sailor or airman marine was downrange somewhere and you were sleeping comfortably in bed, that you didn't have to worry about your security, right? So if you have that in your state, my job as the commander in chief of all the forces in the state of Texas, which is huge, with regard to the Texas National Guard and the Texas State Guard, which is actually a authorized militia in the state of Texas under the Texas Military Department. If you knew that you just could just go home and just sleep peaceably and your kids were okay and the streets were safer, if you knew that and you didn't have to worry about it, isn't that enough to consider? Because right now, as a guy that has the inside information on what happened and what came across that border, I don't want to scare you, but there's a saying that one of the people that found the polio virus said, and I don't remember which one. We fear that which we do not know, and so if you don't know, then that's where fear comes. I don't live in a spirit of fear, right?
Right.
And so for me, that's my job. That is my job, is to provide that security. Now, as the commander in chief of that, then I have to delineate out task organization to people that know how to do that, but not only in the realm of physical security, kinetic type things, but also in the security of your property, right? There is a constitution. There's a state constitution in Texas, very well lines out property taxes, what is authorized and what is not. So that's another form of security. People spend more when they're more secure. So that's another form. So then, and then that would be the second thing, would be the property tax thing. And then the third thing is education. Texas has the 8th largest economy in the world, if it was a country. All right. So if I'm the guy that's going to bring up that 27th ranking in education in the States, then how do you, I'm not going to, sustainability is not one of my favorite terms in the world, but how do you sustain that economic holding, that pole position, if you will, in the country, I think only behind California and GDP, and say then, how do then I say we can maintain that with that kind of education level? We've got to
can't.
fix that. And you can't. So we've got to look at other ideas. Not everything requires going to college for. There's
Right.
VOTEC, there's other skill sets that we can bring kids up, right? There's civic duty, right? That's gone. Civics is gone. You don't see civics in school anymore.
Yeah.
Civic duty is key critical. So one of the main voting blocks that I'm looking at besides military is kids in college, that are my son's age, 25, that are going through that. He's on his way to becoming a Green Beret. I told him not to do it. He's way too
Nice.
smart for it, but he wants to do it too.
He wants to be
Aerospace
like
engineering
Dad.
guy.
I can
Yeah.
understand it.
Well, he wants to do his civic duty. Essentially for him, that's what it entails. But
We need that.
that's it. So we inspire kids to get out there and do things. I got a group from my church that we mentor, and they're now helping me on the campaign. So it's awesome, and they're all college kids.
Well, I've been watching Texas for quite some time because I ran for school board in 22. I was actually the first school board candidate to ever be endorsed by a sitting governor in the history of American
Here in Florida,
politics.
yeah.
Here in Florida. And so education has kind of been just something
Your wheelhouse,
it
totally,
has been
yeah.
a little bit of my wheelhouse. But so with the different education modalities and the dissolution of the Department of Education on the federal side, how would you implement I guess revamping education in your state?
Right. So let's think about this. I heard a discussion between a senator and a congressman, one from Oklahoma, the congressman, and the senator. I worked on the Hill for a little while as a liaison, and the senator from Massachusetts. And so this discussion was great because I heard that they were willing to go to each other's states and figure out, okay, we can't do education the same in Massachusetts at the federal level that we can in Oklahoma in the rural, right? And it's just
Right.
you can't do the same thing. It's just not a algorithm. It is not a cookie cutter, right?
One size doesn't fit all.
Exactly. So for me, the way I look at it is obviously a task force on education. Number one, to have the smartest people in the room, not special interests, not lobbyists, not corporations, but the smartest people in the state of Texas to sit down at this table. Because it is of the governors to have it within my job listing, right? You read the job title and
Proper
description, right? And so it says there can call up task forces in order to complete a task. All right. Well, there we go. That's easy. So then we do that, and then I say, okay, so Austin, which is a very liberal part of Texas, and downtown, which I'm on my way to right now, Houston, that the same education system there will not work. I promise you, up on the Red River in a town of 2,000 people, the same system cannot work because you have different cultures in Texas. Texas is like 8 different countries. It truly is. And it's like countries. In Europe, it'd be 25.
We've had ESAs, we've had education savings accounts passed in a lot of other states throughout the United States, right? And it seems as though the Texas legislature has had a hard time trying to pass ESA. So is that something you would put the task force to do?
Yes, yeah, we absolutely have to look at that. And I'm been talking to people like yourself, Allie, that do understand these things. I understand education as a recipient of it, but not as somebody that's had to administrate. So that is one of the fire hose drinking things I got to do, right?
Yeah.
And so I have been doing it and learning, and so we're getting there. And those things make sense to me. Once again, does it fit the common sense rule? So ESAs for sure we got to look at. So I don't understand what the problem is with the Texas legislature, especially lately with the political gamesmanship that's taking place. I've seen it happen before in Texas at least 3 times when redistricting comes up on the docket. But that's gamesmanship. Anytime I see something like that, I have to look deeper and go, as an operator, especially, what are you guys trying to hide, right? What's really happening behind the scenes? What are you pushing through or not pushing through? Because there are things that are of more exigent circumstance right now, especially with emergency post a big flood. We have to look at that. But in the meantime, if we are in special session, I've already proposed a House bill that didn't pass last time to improve the State Guard to be the preeminent response team. There again, I don't know what's going on in the Texas legislature. I believe that we've got a lot of rhinos there, as it's across the country. But that's not my task. Will be that's the lieutenant governor's, is to herd those cats. But my job ultimately is to veto or to push something through should I see that it makes sense.
We're excited to see somebody else throw their hat in the ring. Obviously, these public service jobs were not meant to be kept for a lifetime. You've got somebody like Biden who's in there for 4+ decades. We don't want that at a governor level, obviously. So I'm so excited to see you out there and working hard. Let our viewers know, because we do have nationwide viewers. We've heard from people in Texas that watch us. So we just want to know, Doc, what can we do? What can our viewers do to help you? What kind of work are you needing help with right now in your campaign?
Yeah, so in Texas itself, because we are so far spread out so far, for me, I can't get to every spot. It's just virtually impossible with 209 days left to go to the primary. But what we can do is there's a volunteer button on the page. Volunteers are needed, right? We need those people to go out and actually put up signs, knock doors, get on phones. So the volunteer site is on the website, docpetechambers.org. And then the other thing is there's a giving site. This is the hardest part in the world to do for me. My campaign chief of staff is like, Doc, you got to start asking for money. I don't, I don't do that real well. I'm used to working on a shoestring budget, and we are. I'm sleeping in the truck sometimes. But what we are going to do is we're pushing the 1836. Well, 1836 was the year that Texas became a republic. So $18.36. If I get 20,000 people to do that nationwide, this is a nationwide election. Don't be mistaken.
It is.
Texas is the domino of the flyover states, and these are important states, especially Texas. So we've got to get that $18.36 and monthly until this thing is over, and then you'll know your money was well spent, because we've got to win this, and we budgeted that number so that we knew that if we had that plus what we've got right now, that we could win this. And we're doing this as a special operations mission, if you will, with regard to our fiscal responsibility. I always tell people, put your pecuniary wherewithal where your maxillary orifice is, which means in medical terms, your legal terms perhaps, put your money where your mouth is. So for me, where that is we're not going to waste your money.
My goodness, I like you so much.
Thank you so much. This is so.
We can drink some cigars, sir.
Yes.
Next time
Hey, listen, I'm going to holler at you. I'm going to holler
right.
at you, Allie, with regard to education stuff.
All right,
She's the director of civic engagement for Moms for America as well. We both do work with Moms for America. So
I love Moms for America. They were my very first donation when I was on the Remnant A-team, Remnant Ministry. Very first donation.
I love that.
Yeah.
To all of our viewers, that is docpetechambers.org. If you go to that website, there's a nice red button in the right-hand corner. Make sure you click and donate. This is all we need to consider. These races literally nationwide.
They are nationwide
because it matters, right? And a lot of times, we're in the free state of Florida. Where Texas and Florida go, so goes the nation. So let's not assume that just every Republican in office should be
we're taking that saying from California and New York, okay? It's Texas and Florida. We lead the way. That's it, period.
That's right. I agree with you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. And please keep in touch with us, and we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Let's get after it. We'll do it again.
Awesome. Right. Thank you. Guys, we'll be right back with more Open Mic after this message.
Gold IRA companies are a dime a dozen, especially in conservative media. We vetted out 34 companies and chose Augusta Precious Metals.
With the lowest across-the-board spreads in the gold IRA industry, Augusta saves Americans thousands of dollars.
They are the only major gold IRA company that has zero complaints from their customers. Zero. None. Augusta Precious Metals does not have commissioned sales reps, which means their goals are aligned with yours.
They were the only gold IRA company that demonstrated integrity and transparency without using gimmicks.
The informative one-on-one web conferences by Augusta Precious Metals answer all of their customers' questions before they make a move.
If you're ready to learn about protecting your wealth and retirement with gold and silver, request your free gold guide from Augusta Precious Metals today.
Visit patriot.tv/gold. That's patriot.tv/gold today.
I mean,
That's
how do you follow
incredible.
that? How do you follow that?
This is how we follow that. All right. From the heart of Marietta, Georgia comes a tribute to the spirit of liberty. Liberty Cigars, where history meets craftsmanship.
We need to send, I'm sorry, we need to send
him a
the
box.
doc. Yeah, or send you a box.
Each cigar tells a story. The Founders Collection honors the visionaries who shaped a nation. The President's House Collection celebrates the leaders who steered it. And the Naval Series salutes the heroes who defended it. Handcrafted with precision, each blend mirrors the essence of its namesake. From the boldness of George Washington to the elegance of Thomas Jefferson, indulge in a moment of reflection. Light a Liberty cigar and savor the legacy. Discover your story at libertycigars.com, because every great nation deserves a great cigar. Liberty Cigars, smoke the history, and use promo code OpenMic for 10% off.
Awesome. Doc will send some your way. We were in before we were joined by the wonderful Doc Pete Chambers. We were talking a little bit about DC. I want to make sure we circle. I'm not going to say. I don't want to say circle.
No,
because that one lady said it.
I'm no circle back girl.
I ain't no circle back girl. Liberating DC. Krista, can we put that one up? I think this is a post from Trump where he's again toting "Yay, Liberation Day for DC." There's been some video too of the them kind of going door to door and arresting people that have long been felons and should not have been out on the street. Can we fast forward, Krista? I do want to get to this. I did not realize that Byron Donalds, who is in a wonderful race for the governor of the state of Florida here, but he's come out and talking about HR, I want to make sure I get this right, 4922, DC Crimes Out is what he's calling it. He is needing some help to get that passed. So we're going to put together a call to action here that you're going to hear first on Open Mic. We need you to call your congressmen, senators, and House of Representatives to let them know that we want, well, first in the House, we want this to pass. We need to bring it up for a vote first.
Yes.
So the first call to action would be to get Speaker Mike Johnson
to put it up there.
Again, it's HR 4922. Donald Trump. Byron Donalds. This is going to be difficult because we got till 2026. We got to say both names. Donald Trump and Byron Donalds. It's going to be interesting. On days where words ain't wording, it's kind of fun.
And it was Erica Donald's birthday yesterday, so happy special birthday shout out from the Open Mic ladies to you. We hope you had a fantastic day.
Absolutely. So Senator Kennedy is now,
one of my favorites.
We have to show this, Allie, because he's just so funny. And
I know.
He's like that uncle at Thanksgiving.
He's the one that you want to feed drinks to. Just to hear him speak, or you ask him a question you know the answer to, but you know his answer is going to be like outlandish and you just want to hear him talk. Like that's him.
Like when he's done with service, we're just going to get him his own social media accounts. Yes. Oh my gosh. So take a listen to what he had to say about Trump.
They should make Hallmark cards out of what Senator Kennedy says.
You need to tell him that.
Yes.
That's retirement, Senator Kennedy. Let's take a listen to Senator Kennedy talking about Trump sending in the cavalry in DC.
Senator John Kennedy joins us now. Senator, is 30 days enough to make an impact in your second home?
It's a start. Brian, here's what I see. Here's what I think most Americans see. I see a proud American city, our nation's capital, in trouble. It has a crime problem. And if you don't believe me, then carry your happy ass down to 8th Street or Columbia Heights or the Navy Yard or Brentwood, 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night and walk around alone and see what happens. I see a dysfunctional local government that enables that crime. A dysfunctional local government that just a few years ago cut its police budget by 15%. A dysfunctional local government that believes that cops are a bigger problem than criminals. And then I see a president of the United States.
Sorry, he goes on to talk about obviously Trump doing the job that you think he would want. And
Right.
did you see the lower third there? Dems are panicking now that order and peace return to the streets. Like, what? When is that?
Makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but he is right. Dysfunctional local governments have completely dismantled and enabled crime to run rampant in their cities. I mean, it's happening all over the nation. It's like news cycle after news cycle after news cycle since We've seen the federalization of DC, all of these cities coming, being put into the news cycle about how dangerous it is, and especially in like Chicago and Detroit and
well, and
these
let's
other
not forget
places.
New York City, right? And that kind of, we can pivot to that
Yeah.
because the wonderful son of Donald Trump, Eric Trump, had this to say on Fox and Friends. Listen, he's talking about if you guys go the way of this new guy that's running for mayor, what is his name?
Mamdani,
I won't tell you how I butcher that name.
Zohan, whatever.
Whatever.
ZM.
Don't make us learn it. Don't elect him. But here's what
That guy.
Eric Trump had to say about that. Take a listen.
That's what's scary to me, right? I grew up in New York. My father's name is on every building in New York. I mean, this is a building, this is a city. These are the markets. This is New York Stock Exchange. This is the NASDAQ, right? I mean, this is the epitome of capitalism around the world. And the guy's coming out and actively saying that he wants to shut down capitalism. I mean, it's the antithesis of what New York City is. The guy is holy scary. And I think it's a disastrous thing for this state, which has already had an exodus of people out of it.
I could not agree with him more. And that is exactly why Brandon Straka has moved back to New York City to enhance the walkaway movement and encourage people to walk away from the Democrat Party and understand that voting for this socialist is dangerous, not just for New York City, but it's dangerous for the rest of the United States.
Right.
And he's actually doing some really great work up there, Brandon Straka.
Right.
So follow Brandon Straka at Brandon Straka on X and the Walkaway Movement, Walkaway campaign.
And thank you to the Brandon Straks and Kevin Smiths and the
Loud Majority
they're out there doing the work and not just running from these places that we can say for sure here.
Yeah,
in
they're
Florida.
not fighting on X about who should win. They're actually doing the work.
Yes,
so
absolutely, absolutely. We want to make sure we get this in. This came across the other day. You know, we know with the Russia hoax and Russia collusion lie, basically, that they perpetuated through lamestream media to you.
Correct.
We're learning more and more about that. But as this is coming out, you know, it's kind of like you're just tugging at a thread, and pretty soon that whole garment's going to be unwoven. Now we're finding out that leaders, including all the way up to Barack Obama himself, they knew, Allie, that there were these investigations happening against Hillary Clinton. Remember when Trump was chanting "lock her up," or the people at Trump rallies were chanting "lock her up"? There was something going on beneath the surface that they knew this. People within the intelligence community who wanted to do their job, they pledged allegiance to the Constitution, not party. They wanted to do their job, and they were told with a smackdown by leaders in the Obama administration, not only to stop investigating Clinton with her email scandal, but to stop investigating the Clinton Foundation and the ties that they had to cronies. Take a look at this. Take a quick listen.
Tonight, we're going to tell you about the other Clinton investigation, one that was running in 3 separate FBI offices, New York, Washington, and Little Rock. It was a predicated criminal investigation that was examining whether Hillary Clinton ran a pay-to-play scheme that delivered favors from her perch as Secretary of State, while foreigners and others paid large sums of money to her family foundation, the Clinton Foundation, run by Bill Clinton and their daughter, eventually Chelsea Clinton. 3 separate agencies, 3 separate bureaus, offices of the FBI believe they had predicated evidence to pursue that. Every time they tried to move the ball down the road in the shadows of the 2016 election, they got shut down. I mean, they got shut down at the highest levels of their agency. Andrew McCabe, the deputy director, a man who potentially had a conflict of interest with Hillary Clinton. His wife got money from Hillary Clinton's former campaign chair to run for a Virginia state Senate. And by the way, McCabe attended the meeting where that assistance was solicited. He eventually was conflicted out, but not before he.
We can bring
Holy ethics violations. What in the?
Shut it down,
Wow.
they were told. Shut it down. Listen, Allie, it goes on to get even worse because
there's more?
But wait, there's more. This isn't an
Mike
infomercial. Is it Mike Lindell?
It's just an infomercial.
We're sorry, we're sorry, Mike. We love you. No, this is absolutely insane, because part of what we're learning too is that with the Russian, and of course, we're going to pivot a little bit back to the other news story of the Russian hoax and all the documents that DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard is putting out. What we're finding is that during the time that they were pushing this Russian narrative, there are some familiar names that were supposed to be on our side, I guess the conservative side, the side of common sense, possibly at that point, because Trump was already a sitting president. You would think they would be on the side of Trump. Listen to these names. The Speaker of the House was, oh my gosh, Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think about what he might have been privy to in some of these intelligence briefings. There's another name, and he actually forced Devin Nunes to recuse himself. Devin Nunes had all the receipts. You'll hear from him in a future show. I'm sure we'll have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Another name that came up a lot in these documents I'm reading is Trey Gowdy.
Wow.
So I, and maybe not criminally, but I morally and ethically, you promised that we take an oath to the party. A lot of us have had to, or they want us to take an oath to the party. So part of that oath, I think, should allow the Republican Party, RNC, Republican Party throughout the nation, should be asking these questions of these people that were in Republican seats, not criminally.
Right.
But what did you know? When did you know it? And why didn't you act on it? Because we need to learn from this.
Yes.
Why weren't they asking the questions then? And, the reason they didn't want Kash Patel as the FBI director is because he was also working as an attorney, in this, and he was screaming at the rooftops. So they had to have known Allie by sitting somebody like him in the FBI that he was going to just pull at the string and watch it unravel for all the things that have been happening over the last decade.
Courageous people. I mean, bad things happen when good men do nothing. And if you are sitting in these positions and you have given an oath, right? I think there are people that they write these things and they take these oaths and they don't think that it means anything. But for many of us, it does mean something. So if you're going to give your oath to something, then you should stand by that, stand on it. And if you can't, then maybe this is not the right job for you. Maybe service is not the right position.
Maybe you have a diagnosis. It's called weakness. I'm going to steal that, Doc Chambers. We just stole it. You know who's not weak? Is Anna Paulina Luna. But listen, when she started talking on Joe Rogan's show about...
I love that podcast, by the way. It was so good. I listened to the whole thing.
She's great. She's wonderful.
It was amazing.
She needs her own show too at some point. But she's talking about what she heard potentially was in the skies. And I don't like this UFO talk because I'm not knowledgeable on it. And it makes me stay up late and keep sleep with all the lights on.
And search. And you're like, what is happening? What is that? What does that mean? And that is rabbit hole material. Do not fall down that without some help. You need a tether to
reality. But take a listen. I do want to cover, let's cover the story. Let's listen to it.
So what did you think about the whole UFO thing before you got in office?
So I actually had, when I was stationed at Portland Air National Guard, my job there was an airfield manager. So I would interface and work a lot with the F-15 pilots at the unit. And so there had been an airspace incursion that had taken place when I was still at the time at the Guard. And I remember kind of talking to some of the pilots about it. And I was like, what was that? And they're like, we can't really talk about it. No one really wanted to address it. And so from what I'd gathered, that had been likely a UAP. And so that kind of was my perspective. Granted, I also grew up in the generation of the X-Files and, I don't know if you remember 94 Independence Day. So for me specifically, I didn't look at it with a crazy lens and perspective. I'm like, you never know if, we're the only ones out there essentially.
But why did you assume that if it's a top secret incursion that he couldn't talk about, that it wasn't just a military craft from another country?
Because of the way that he was discussing it.
What did he say?
So he had been, he didn't want to, from what I gather, get taken off flight status. And he's like, I really can't discuss it. We couldn't really identify it essentially, and it had outperformed them. And so that was my first, from a military perspective, kind of experience with someone who basically, there's a stigma within the flight community. Do you want to lose your security clearance? Is there this level of crazy that people kind of brand that will stick with you and kind of ruin your career?
But doesn't he have instrumentation on his jet?
Well, at the time, right? So it's an older platform, but he really didn't want to even talk about it. And I bring that up because now with our investigation and the task force that I run, actually the reason why the task force was formed was because of an event that happened at Eglin Air Force Base where both myself, Representative Matt Gaetz, and Representative Tim Burchett actually had responded and gone to investigate multiple Air Force pilots that had come forward in regards to UAP incidences that had occurred. And they were alleging that the Air Force was covering it up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We are in the age of disclosure and I am so excited. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. This podcast was amazing and you all need to go watch it. Go watch it after this. Go listen, go watch, do it.
Allie.
It's so good. It is so, they get into the Bible. They get into all of the things. They get into RFK, they get into the assassinations. They get into the task force that she's running. I mean, it is quite the juicy podcast.
I think I'm gonna wait and have like, you know how some I need house guests when I watch that.
No.
I can't watch it by myself because me and
No.
my cat will be like, we will not, like, you'll have to come get me the next day
No
because I'll be
spirit of fear.
barricaded in
No
with like
spirit of fear at all. No, stop it. They talk about like remote viewing.
when they're
and all
talking
these
about
things,
something
and it's
outperforming
CIA and it's
outperforming our jets though, like, come on.
well, and she also alluded to the fact that it's not there are things that she has seen that have not been developed or created by mankind.
Okay, you want my analogy? So there are some, maybe we should do this. This would be a fun one to talk about. There are some that think that we should actually be talking about this more in the faith community
Yeah,
because we'll cover that in another story.
We'll
We're
cover
running
that
out
in
of
a-
time.
yeah, we'll talk about that also,
If I
yeah.
look at it like
And
that,
she says that.
If
She
I
says
bring
that.
yes, if I bring God into it, then I'm like, okay, no, I'm not fearful.
be
And
fear-
now I
don't be
kind of I
afraid,
do
yeah.
want to tug at that thread.
She does. She talks
Okay,
about that.
Okay. Now, Allie, there's something we need to talk about because
I know,
I
and
think
I'm so
you'll knock
excited.
me out of the seat if I don't mention it. Okay, Dana White has confirmed what, Allie?
That they're actually going to host UFC on the White House lawn. But guess what? On July 4th. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
I
gosh.
am so excited.
I think open mic's going to be ringside.
I want to go so bad.
Open mic ringside where
I'm
you
going.
can smell the sweat.
I'm
talking
going.
like ringside.
I'm going. That's
I
it.
think I said we.
We are. We're going.
She's trying to leave without me.
I
You
don't
heard
want to
it.
leave without you. I want you to go.
Oh
We gotta go, bestie. We have to go. Sis, we're gonna have to go.
I mean, you know, how
And
how
watch
big of
this.
a comeback can you have? This is just a few years ago with
Wow.
Biden. They had topless transsexuals on the White House
Yep.
lawn, and now we're gonna have the SmackDown.
The most masculine sport in all of sports is going to be hosted on the White House lawn.
They have to do a tribute to Hulk Hogan.
Oh, of course they
somehow, like just
I'm
kind of
sure
somehow.
they will.
I don't know.
Look,
It's gonna be fun. Joe Rogan will probably
these
be ringside too.
UFC ringside events are always amazing, and on the White House lawn on our Independence birthday is it is going to be amazing.
It's gonna be amazing, guys.
Fireworks, and I can just my brain is just like
Special thanks to Doc Pete Chambers. Make sure you reach out, docpetechambers.org. Help him out,
that's
guys.
literally America 250 right there.
That's America.
That's literally
Literally.
the
Guys,
day of America 250. I'm sorry, I'm
she's
so
so
excited.
geeking out. I love it. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Open Mic. Where is it? Open Mic? Make sure you follow us at Open Mic Ladies on all platforms. You can reach out to us at contact@openmicladies.com. For now, that's us, Allie Leger, Michelle Posey. Any last words before we sign off?
No, just continue to be the tip of the spear in your circle of influence. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
You gotta lose. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on. What do you do when the gas is high? Inflation's up in the sky. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on. And I don't care how they look at me in the deepest heart of a blue city. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on. And I know when you smile, you like what you see. If you love America, you'll agree. Red hat stays on. Red hat stays on.